one main idea in this lifetime is actually to figure out for yourself which thoughts and which actions, which way of life, and which perspective that you can, for example, take. Where is it heading towards? What is the result of all of your actions, of all of the things that you are thinking about, talking about? Whether they start to make you become more heavy or they are starting to elevate you.
You use this word when you teach sometimes, elevation. And I thought I want to understand more what Master Shi Heng Yi means by elevation. And maybe you could talk about it in the context even that we're describing of how we relate to our 100 years here.
Elevation carries a quality when I use it, and it is the quality that something is getting lighter. So elevation means something is like starting to float, something is starting to move upwards. Now, in our 3D world, when we talk about elevation, that means it is something that maybe once was stuck or is standing right now here, but slowly, slowly it starts to become lighter. So if we use these terms, there are two directions. Whether something is becoming lighter or something is becoming more heavy in terms of this whole life, this whole existence feels like a burden to you. Every day waking up feels like a heaviness to you. You're feeling stuck, you're moving nowhere, you're feeling like life is heavy. So we have these two directions. And now, one main idea in this lifetime is actually to figure out for yourself which thoughts and which actions, which way of life, and which perspective that you can, for example, take. Where is it heading towards? What is the result of all of your actions, of all of the things that you are thinking about, talking about? Whether they start to make you become more heavy or they are starting to elevate you. And the extreme of elevation, I would say it's extreme lightness. And what is it that is extreme lightness? Well, it's light. Light in both ways. Light in terms of the shining light, or light in terms of there is no substance to it. That's why it is free. It is free of matter. It is free of anything that's stuck on you. Meaning, it is free of any type of grasping or holding on to anything. This is why things become light in life. Yeah. Practically speaking, the more you are attached, the more people are attached to anything, the more heavy they are. Because all of the attachment means it's like you're stuck to something. You're stuck to something that you won't take with you no matter what. And this is the reason again why that word elevation or transcending or lightness or non-grasping, non-attachment, how these terms describe a very similar quality, I would say. And I just regard, after walking through this lifetime so far, that it's an essential part to learn in this lifetime.
One of the things I'm sensing, and I'd love to know if you think this is true or not, or if I'm projecting, is that by the way you're answering my questions, I have the sense that you understand suffering, that you've touched it, you've had it in your life, heaviness, hard times, dark, like you know it. It's something that and that you have found this way through to find greater lightness and elevation from your own experience, and I'd love to hear more about that and maybe an experience or a time of heaviness and darkness and how the finding of your way through personally informs now how you teach.
So, yeah, first of all, thank you very much for this acknowledgement. There was a time when I actually wasn't teaching anything to the public yet. But when the time came, which was around the year 2011, there was always one guideline that I kept for myself when it came to sharing something or teaching something, which was I can only share, I can only teach if I have it. So, meaning I cannot pass on any solution to anyone if I haven't experienced the success, let's say, of this solution in my own life. And that made it actually very, very simple and easy for me in terms of, do I normally prepare myself for any interview or podcast? I usually don't prepare myself because I only answer actually questions where I have an answer. If you would ask me something I have no experience on, I would absolutely refrain from making something up just to give you an answer. So, and that meaning, or that being said, first of all, every human being goes through different types of suffering in this lifetime. And same, I would say, also goes for me. And at some point, when some cycles or some patterns start to always repeat themselves, at some point, it's also like I'm asking myself, it feels like I have been there already. I have been in that cycle of suffering already. I know it from somewhere. And it just takes sometimes a few cycles, a few repetitions until hopefully that insight pops up. There must be a way out of this. And this is literally the beginning of what, for many people nowadays, I would say, is that spiritual search. All of the searching for an answer, the searching for an alternative way, the search for, did I miss something in my life? What is it that I have overseen? Mostly these moments come after a lot of suffering. So, this is the general outline. How do I view suffering in this lifetime? It means you are finding yourself in a state that very, very obviously is very unpleasant to you. And if that heaviness becomes just too much, ultimately, the little light, the little hope, or that little faith starts to shine through. And this is where then the search begins. And this type of cycles right now, I had quite a few of them in my lifetime. And just to show, for example, that it all goes hand in hand. In 2011, after I finished about, how many years was it? I think almost that time it was almost 18 years of academic education. In 2011, I started returning back to Germany and then starting to actually build up what nowadays is known as the Shaolin Temple Europe. And of course, a lot of effort, a lot of discipline, a lot of work went into building up this temple. And on the one side, slowly it started to also become successful, I would say, in a way. The temple became worldwide known. The persona, let's say, that I created became worldwide known. But at the same time, also, I felt at some point, and this was now maybe about 3 or 4 years ago, I felt like hitting some type of a plateau, which means I knew already if I would like to make more workshops, I could do it. If I would like to make more TV productions, I could do it. And at the same time, having all these followers and having all the people that are looking up to that persona also made me realize something. They are in resonance with the persona. They are in resonance with the character that I have created, let's say, in a way, in the public space. But that also meant that sometimes when I was traveling and found myself like just at the airport, even wearing, for example, these type of glasses, that people couldn't discern anymore and started to project something into me that I am simply not only. It doesn't mean that She Heng Yi, the persona of the Shaolin representant, that it is fake or that it's unreal. No, it is the role, it is the persona in order to share with the people the Shaolin knowledge that I find useful for myself. But when I talk about myself is not She Heng Yi. She Heng Yi is one part of me that I embodied in order to be physically strong and at the same time also to get into touch with the Buddhist teachings. This is what She Heng Yi, this persona, brought also into my life, let's say. And this is already like the important part to hear out. So She Heng Yi, this is the persona, this is the role. But everybody walking through this lifetime in different life circumstances, in different environments, you usually also have a different role, a different contextual role that you're playing. With your parents, you will always be the child, no matter what. Doesn't matter if you're the CEO of a big corporation, for your parents, you'll always be the child. And so this is one area that ultimately led to this feeling of suffering also inside of me. The recognition that people are not seeing me actually for what I am. They are seeing me what they are projecting upon me based on what they have, let's say, been exposed to. And so ultimately, what is this suffering mean? It is a crisis of identity. Let's call it like this. Of not knowing who are you actually now. What is this all about? And then literally feeling or seeing how so much of the life is based upon this persona. Yes. But I mean, meanwhile, maybe through your research, then you also knew, and I think this has been the biggest change in my life, that I like became a father in 2024. And so, of course, for me, it meant the way and the amount of time and energy that I invested and nourished this persona, Master She Heng Yi. It's very natural to me that I can't keep up anymore in the same amount of how I used to do this in the last 20 or 25 years. So now a lot of my energy, a lot of my time and awareness goes into the role of being a father to my son. Yes. So, and this is of course also like a shift of priority, you might call it like this, but it is also a shift of identity, of course.